doing lesson 21. Today we are going to be changing fractions into decimals, which sounds tricky, but it's not. You're going to be really good at it, and I can't wait. This also is going to be kind of a review for you because you already know how to do all this cool stuff because you're so super smart. Check out my beautiful poster I made for you. You're welcome. This is a place values poster, so this should be a review. This number says 25 and 376 thousandths, which that's a review. This is the tens place, the ones place, and together that makes a whole number. So everything on this side of the decimal is always going to be a whole number. On this side of the decimal, the 376 thousandths, that will always be a decimal or a fraction or less than one whole. Always, always, always. I will put this poster on our class website so you can look at it more closely, but that's what you need to know for now. When we look at the tenths place, I'm actually going to zoom you in a little bit here. When we look at the tenths place is the first place of the decimal, and it's 1/10, so the fraction version would be 1/10. When I look at the hundreds place, it's the second place of the decimal, and the fraction would be 1/100th. When I look at the thousands place, it is the third spot in the decimal, and the fraction would be 1/1000. So you guys already know that. That should make perfect sense to you. No big deal. Let me see if I can get my camera back here. So let's jump into the problem set. I'm going to do some problems that are similar but not the exact same to the problem set so that you can see how to do it, but I don't give you all the answers. So let's start with, A, B, and C on your problem set are all going to look something like this. They're going to give you a fraction. They're going to tell you that they want to multiply by one whole, and then they're going to reset up the problem next to it. So it'll be like 2/3 times some random fraction will give you 21 out of 14. Now, when we're making one whole, we want to try to make this fraction say one whole. Because if you multiply by one whole, your fractions are going to be the same, otherwise known as equivalent fractions. So we're making this fraction one whole. It must be the same on the top and the bottom. How would we get from 3 to 21? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 times 7. How do we get from 2 to 14? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 7. 7 out of 7 is one whole, and that gives you the equivalent fraction of 14 21ths. Make sense? Let's do one more. So let's start with 5 halves times one whole, which is the same thing as 5 halves times some mystery fraction gives you 25 out of another mystery. Okay, so we're trying to make this fraction say one whole, so it must be the same on the top and the bottom, and we're trying to get 5 to be 25. So how do we get from 5 to 25? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 times 5. 2 times 5, because the top and the bottom must be the same for it to be one whole. 2 times 5 is 10. So 25 tenths is the same thing as 5 halves. They are equivalent fractions because we multiplied by one whole, and when we multiply by one whole, we get the same thing. It just looks a little bit different. So that's for A, B, and C on your problem set. And you might be wondering, why are we doing this? Why are we finding random equivalent fractions? That sounds boring and dumb. Here's how it relates to decimals. Are you ready? Everyone ready?
I'm ready!
Okay, here's why we need to find equivalent fractions to make decimals. If I start with a fraction such as 1/4, and I want to make this fraction into a decimal, check out my decimal places. The tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths. Those in fraction form are either tenths, hundredths, or thousandths, which means when I'm looking at this fraction, I need to find a denominator that is either a tenth a hundredth, or a thousandth in order to make it into a decimal. Fourth is not any decimal place. That doesn't make any sense. You don't say like 25 and 3/4. No, that's not, no, don't take that out of your brain. That's not right. It needs to be tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. So I need to make this 4 into tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. So let's think about how we can do that. We're going to multiply by 1 whole to make it an equivalent fraction, which means we need to do 1/4 times something will give me either a tenth, a hundredth, or a thousandth. Okay, let's count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Is there tenths in there? Can I count to 10 by 4? Nope, that's not going to work. So I can't do a tenth. Could I do a hundredth? Well, let's think. 100 divided by 4, like 4/4, 25. I could do that. So I'm going to do 4 times 25 on the bottom will give me hundredths. Does that make sense? I needed it to be tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. I couldn't do tenths, so I'm going to make it say hundredths. If my fraction needs to be 1 whole, if the denominator is 25, the numerator also needs to be 25. 1 times 25 is 25. So that means 25 hundredths is the same thing as 1/4. We know how to write 25 hundredths as a decimal, right? 25 hundredths. This is the tenths place. This is the hundredths place. So if I start at the decimal, it says 25 hundredths. Done, done. 1/4 is the same thing as 0.25 or 25 hundredths, which makes sense because if you think of 1/4, 1/4, 1/4 is worth 25 cents at the dollar, da 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 da. If you don't believe me, take out your phone right now or whatever you're using and do 1 divided by 4, and you know what it's going to tell you? Boom, 25 hundredths. Let's do another one. I'm going to switch colors so you can see it a little bit better. Let's do purple. Okay. Let's say we're starting with 2. Ooh, that one doesn't work very well. How about blue? That's better. Okay, we're starting with 2/5. Fifths, I don't know what decimal that is. That doesn't help me. I need it to be either in the tenths place, in the hundredths place, or in the thousandths place. Whoops. Put an extra 0 there. I need it to be either tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. I don't want fifths. I want tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. So, can we multiply 2/5 by something to get tenths? Let's try it out. Can we get from 5 to 10? Well, let's count by 5s. 5, 10 times 2. So if I do 2 on the bottom, what needs to go on the top? Yes, 2 needs to go on the top because this is 1 whole. 2 times 2 is 4. So that means 2/5 is equivalent to or the same as 4/10. We know how to write 4/10 as the decimal. 4/10. So 2/5 as a decimal is 4/10. Guys, it's that easy. It's so exciting. You're going to be pros at this. I can't wait. Do you want to do one more? Let's do one more. Okay, this one's going to be crazy. You ready? 3/20. I don't want 20ths as my denominator. I want it to be either, say it with me, tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. Oh, you can't really see that very well, can you? Can I multiply this denominator 20 by anything to give me tenths. Can I do 20 times anything to give me tenths? No, it's already past tenths. That's not going to make any sense. Okay, so now I can't do tenths. Let's go to hundreds. Can I multiply 20 by a number to get 100? Sure I can. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. If I multiply by 5, 20 times 5 is 100. If I'm multiplying by 5 on the bottom, then I need to multiply by 5 on top. 3 times 5 is 15. So 3/20ths is the same thing, equivalent to 1500ths. I know how to write 1500ths because on my place value chart, the hundredths is the second place value. So I'm going to write 1500ths. So 3/20ths equals 0.15. If you don't believe me, that doesn't look like a 3, does it? If you don't believe me, take out your calculator. We know the fraction bar means to divide. 3 divided by 20, it's going to say 0.15 or 1500ths. Boom shakalaka. We know how to do this. Okay. This is about to get harder, but not really because you guys are so smart. You're going to be like, oh, that was simple, Miss Fairnolds. What are you talking about? What if you have a number that already has a whole number in it? For example, let's look at this box right here. This is my only space left. What if the problem was 5 and 41/50ths, and they told you to turn that into a decimal? But Miss Fairnolds, there's a big giant 5 there, and I don't know what to do with it. You know what to do, okay? This is a whole number. On our poster, where do whole numbers go? They go before the decimal place. So we don't need to change anything about this 5. It's already ready to put a decimal put right after it. So I'm going to keep the 5 the same. 5 and then a decimal. And then our fraction, whenever we change that, we'll just put it right after the decimal. It's easy. 41/50ths. I need 50 to not say 50. I need to either say tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. We can't do tenths. It's already bigger than tenths. We could probably do hundredths. How do we get from 50 to 100? Well, that's easy. 50 times 2. If I do 2 on the bottom, I need to do 2 on the top because when the numerator and the denominator are the same, that is 1 whole, and 1 whole is how we find an equivalent fraction. 41 times 2 would be 82. 8200ths is equal to 41/50ths. They are the same amount. They're just different numbers. One is simplified, one is not. 8200ths, we know how to write that in decimal form. So my final answer would be 5 and 8200ths. This is the decimal version of 5 and 41/50ths. Easy? Sort of, kind of? How are you feeling? Okay, sort of? I don't know. If you have questions, or if you're like, Miss Reynolds, you are a raging psycho, I don't understand anything you just said, what are you doing? Send me an email. I'd be happy to do more problems. I'd be happy to answer your questions. I'd be happy to have you do a problem and then send it to me and be like, am I doing this right? I can do that for you too. This is what you're doing on problem set today. On problem set, you have number 1, letter A, B, and C. I want you to do number 1, letter A, B, and C. Don't do D. I don't care about it. Number 2, there is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. No, just A through I. A through L. Here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to pick 4 at least. 4 at least. Don't pick the easiest ones and just do those. I know you know how to do the easy problems. Do the difficult ones. You can start with a couple easy ones and then move on to some more challenging ones. Do them until you feel like they're easy for you to do. So if you do one, you're like, I still don't really get it, do another one. I kind of get it, do another one. You're like, oh, I feel good. Do one more, and then you're like, oh, this is easy. I know how to do this. Then you can be done. If you need to do all of them, great. Do all of them. If you need to do 5 of them and then move on, that's fine too. You choose. You're in charge. It's your learning. You're at home. On the back, there's a bunch of they're kind of like story problems. but not really, and you'll see what I mean if you read through them. So numbers 3, 4, and 5. I don't really care if you do these or not. It's good practice. You can do it, but you don't have to. If we were in class, I would not make you do those ones. On the exit ticket for today, we're going to try to do the entire exit ticket. It really isn't that big of a deal. It shouldn't take you that long. Number 1, you just have to fill in some blanks. Number 2 has A, B, C, D, but they're quick problems, so it really shouldn't take you that long. What I would like you to do is fill out your exit ticket. If you don't have a print version of your exit ticket, just write it on a piece of paper, right? Lesson 21, exit ticket. Put your answers, put whatever, like A, this is my answer, B, this is my answer, please show your work. Take a picture of that and upload it to our turn-in tray. There are directions for how to do that. Look on our homepage and it says how to use this site, and I showed you how to turn it in. So if you still have questions about that, please watch that video. That's all I have for you today. I hope you're surviving. I'll leave you with this great joke that I heard. What 2 letters rhyme the best? Jay-Z. Get it? Jay-Z, the rapper. What a good one. I miss you guys. This is not as fun as when you're in front of me. But hopefully I will hear from you guys soon. Happy fraction to decimal.